Okay, I regularly receive videos of interactions with police from people in the audience. Usually, I don't end up talking about them on the show because I don't see anything interesting or the circumstances seem very blurry. I don't, blurry or gray area, maybe not literally blurry video, but just it's unclear exactly what's going on. There's nothing interesting. I don't think there's any interesting points to be made. But in the past, there have been some times that we successfully put a spotlight on interactions between police and citizens. And one example is back in 2015. I received a video from Ohio of a black man being pulled over for, quote, making direct eye contact with a police officer. That clip ended up getting nearly 300,000 YouTube views. But more importantly, it actually led to a meeting between the black man and the white officer, and I believe an apology and maybe even further training for officers. It was a really great thing that was able to come of it. I have another video for you today, and another one of these stories that I do want to talk about. And this one is from Fairfax County, Virginia, and it involves a young black man back in March. The video was only recently made available, sitting in his car at a red light, driving home from work. And before I tell you the story, make sure that you subscribe, like, and share this video if you're watching it on YouTube. We want this to be widely seen. That's how it will have the widest impact. So subscribe, like the video, and share it. As the story has been told to me, an Officer Bush, badge number 4077, started following the young black man, made eye contact as the officer passed the black man. The officer then makes a U-turn in the middle of the street to get right behind this young man and follows the man into his neighborhood and all the way to his apartment building, in fact. At which point the driver parks and the officer approaches the man and starts asking questions that don't seem quite right given the circumstances, including claiming not to believe that the young black man actually lives in the apartment complex into which they've pulled, despite the fact that, as I've been told the story, there is actually a resident parking sticker on the driver's side of the vehicle driven by the young black man that associates it with the apartment complex into which they pulled. So we have video, and I want to show you the video, and there's a lot of concerning things here. Let's look at clip number one.
Hey. Hey, sir. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Hey, good. Hey, do you live here?
I do, yes.
Okay. Where do you live at?
In this apartment right here.
Oh, okay. You got ID on you?
No, I don't.
You don't have ID?
Well, I do have an ID, but do I have to show it to you?
You don't have ID on you?
I do have an ID.
Okay.
Do I have to show it to you?
You don't have to. Is this your car?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Is there a problem?
What building do you live in?
This building right here.
What's the address?
I don't have to show. I don't have to tell you the address.
What's that?
Do I need to tell you the address?
Yeah, what's the address?
Why do I need to tell you my address?
No, I'm asking you what the address is.
But why do I need to tell you that?
Because I'm asking you.
But is there a reason why you're asking me?
Because I want to know if you live here, because if you don't live here...
I just told you I do live here.
Right, but if you don't know the address, it doesn't look like to me like you live here.
So notice that there's a series of questions, none of which seem to have any relation to reasonable suspicion of a crime having been committed. The driver knows his rights and is asserting them. And then it gets to the crux of what the officer said there. It doesn't look like, to me, that you live here. You don't look like you live here. What would be the reason for that? What about this man who knows his rights and has done nothing to warrant suspicion of a crime? What about his appearance suggests to the officer that he doesn't really live in the apartment complex in which he claims to live? Now, I know that there will be people who will say, David, the driver is being obstinate. Just give your ID, state the address, and you'll be on your way. And this is exactly the problem. This is called phishing. The officer asserts no reason why he's following and now asking repeated questions to this individual. The driver realizes that the officer is phishing, and he doesn't provide more information. And your reaction is that the driver is the problem here? By the way, again, the driver reportedly has a parking sticker for that parking complex, that apartment complex, in a window on the driver's side. But again, he doesn't have to engage with this stuff if he doesn't want to. So let's continue where he goes back to the car, questions about the car and questions about how long the individual has lived in the area.
Okay,
And why
I'll
is
be
that?
honest with you.
Why is that?
Whose vehicle is this?
This is my vehicle.
Is it in your name?
It's in my mom's name. It's in my name also.
Okay. How long have you lived in this area?
Do I have to tell you that?
I'm just asking you a question.
Okay, but why are you asking me these questions?
Do you live here or not, sir?
I already told you, I do live here.
Okay, because if you don't live here, you're trespassing.
I know that, and I told you, I live here.
Okay. So what's the address that you live at?
Why do I have to tell you that?
Because I don't believe you live here, sir.
And why don't you believe me? Why don't you believe I live here?
Because you don't know the address.
I already told you, I do know the address.
Okay, what's the address that you live here?
I don't have to tell you that. I live here. Why are you harassing me?
Okay. I'm not harassing you. Okay?
You're in my neighborhood, coming up to me, asking me what my address is because you say I don't live here. Why don't you believe I live here?
If you don't live here, then you're trespassing. Do you have reason to believe that I'm trespassing? I mean, again, other than the fact that you said I don't look like I'd live here, the driver doesn't have to do the police officer's job for him. And good for the driver for saying, you're telling me you don't believe I live here, but why are you even talking to me right now? These questions are questions meant to try to trip up or create an apparent contradiction, or even just to further make the driver nervous, as the driver understandably is, as you can hear in his voice, so that he then does something justifying further interaction with the officer, whether it's searching the car, pulling the driver out, whatever. And the driver, you hear the nervousness in his voice, but he doesn't take the bait, and I think that's good. Now, this is a good point for me to make now. This is not about messing with police, okay? This is about police messing with drivers who have done nothing wrong that police can articulate that would create suspicion of any kind that a crime may have been committed by this person. I am not one of these folks, you see these videos on YouTube, where I'm about seeking out Border Patrol checkpoints to refuse to provide ID or answer questions to make interesting YouTube videos. I'm not about that. I think that that's generally a waste of time. I'm not into driving deliberately into sobriety checkpoints and trying to interfere with the checkpoint, whatever, right? That's not, I personally find that to be a waste of time. That's different here. That's not what's going on. This is an individual who was just driving home when this officer decided this is someone that I'm going to talk to and start asking repeated harassing questions. Often you will hear, well, the driver generally matched the description of someone we were looking for. Police will say that. That wasn't said here, and it hasn't been asserted after the fact, even though an investigation has been opened up. Let's now watch the end of the interaction.
Sir, I'm not harassing you. Okay?
All right, can I have your name and badge number?
You can. Detective Bush, and my badge number is 4077.
Okay. Thank you.
So do you have an ID on you or not?
I do. I already told you I do have an ID.
Okay. What's your name?
I don't have to tell you that. Am I being detained or am I free to go?
You're free to go, sir.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Ultimately getting to the key question, am I being detained or am I free to go? Detective Bush ultimately realizes he has no business trying to detain this person. He has no justification for detaining this individual. And the right question was ultimately asked, am I free to go? And the answer was yes. This is a guy driving around. An officer decides that absent any evidence or reason for suspicion, he's going to mess with this guy and see what he can find. He's going fishing. Let me throw my fishing line in the water and see if there's fish, because why not? Maybe I'll catch something. And it gets worse because the officer stayed at the apartment complex just watching this guy for a while, half hour. One additional video, just 8 seconds to show you. And there's the officer continuing to wait around in the parking lot. I don't know more about this right now, okay? You now have all the information that I have. I was sent this. I watched all of these videos multiple times in detail. Let's see what comes of this. I'm told that Internal Affairs is now investigating this. Knowing and asserting your rights when you were being confronted by police for no reason is not being obstinate. And this guy did the right thing. A lot of people don't know what their rights are in these situations. Despite being clearly nervous, you hear the agitation in the black man's voice. And I understand it. He asserted his rights. He remained calm. And it doesn't always go this way. There are times when merely asserting your rights in the way that this individual did can actually get you pulled out of the car and can get the vehicle searched. And there is a risk associated with this approach. We'll see what comes of it. This is a police department that whose demographics are drastically out of line with the demographics of the community which they police. And this is an issue that's a much broader issue in the United States that we've talked about before. Pete Buttigieg actually brought this up at the recent Democratic presidential debate. So let me know what you think about this. As soon as I have more information, I will give it to you, because this is all I have so far. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video. We do want as many people to see it as possible. We'll take a quick break. Make sure you're following the show on Instagram at David Pakman Show. Follow me on Instagram at david.pakman as well.